Well, okay, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. We welcome you today, and we're so excited to be here for this College 101 session, and we're super happy that you're here with us. You may know already, but today we're featuring the Learning Center and the Counseling Center. And I'm Lisa Lewis. I'm a student success advocate, and I'm one of the co-hosts of this session, which is hosted by the Orientation and Transition Office, as well as the Student Success Advocates. So welcome here. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping first. We're just going to check one more slide here. And I'll get started. I think the slide will pop up in just a minute, but oh, here we go. It's just about there. We want to remind you to please keep your microphones on mute throughout the presentation, but we welcome you to utilize the chat feature at any time while we're talking. So put any questions that you got in there. And then we will do kind of a moderated Q&A and discussion towards the end of the session as we're concluding. And just know that the presenter view of this session is going to be recorded. And now that we're done with that, I'll go back and do a quick introduction of myself. I'm Lisa Lewis, and I'm a student success advocate. Just going to do a brief introduction because the focus of today is going to be on our campus partners who are the Counseling Center and the Learning Center. We're also lucky enough to have a student with us, an undergraduate student, Emily Black, who is a presidential ambassador, and she'll be sharing a little bit about her experience as a student here too, and a little bit about what the presidential ambassadors do as well. So just so you know kind of what the student success advocates do, we help students reach their goals and be successful at the U. And that seems like a pretty broad statement, doesn't it? And it is. We work a lot with students individually, and we are a great place to help learn about what the offices are on campus and what resources are available to you, which a lot of times coming in as freshmen or even transfer students, it's hard to know like which office has which name and does which services. We're a great place to start to ask questions about who does what and how to access those resources. And also along with that, you know, we work with students a lot on time management, on like tips on how to be successful. Like one of the best tips that we give, I think, is to get to know your faculty and your professors, like the first month of of classes. And so they know who you are. So if you have questions later, or, you know, maybe you need a letter of recommendation or something like that, you've talked to them, they know you, and they can help you out. So we're really a great place to start with things like that. If you don't know who to ask, we're a great place to start. So that's a little bit about the Student Success Advocates. And so we're going to move on now to our campus partners, who are going to tell you a lot more about what they do and some of the resources that they have on campus. And we're going to start with Claudia from the Counseling Center.
Hi everyone, I'm Claudia. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I work with the Counseling Center. This is probably my third year with the center. I am a first-gen graduate. That means I'm one of the first in my family to graduate from undergrad and graduate school. And part of what I provide at the center is I provide individual counseling. I run group therapy. I also provide some crisis services. So that means that students can kind of walk in if they're in a mental health crisis during our business hours, and we have counselors available that are on call. Some of the other services that we provide at the center is we have a Mindfulness Center, which provides free workshops. Like we have a Feel Better Now series that is based on like, how do I use mindfulness as a way to manage symptoms of depression or anxiety. We also have like a work-life balance for our graduate students. And then we also provide, through the Mindfulness Center, other different types of presentations around campus. If you're part of student organizations, they can request those mindfulness workshops as well. And then we also provide some couples counseling, and we also provide psychiatric medication management services. And so there's a lot of different resources within the Counseling Center, but that's just kind of the quick overview of them. I don't know if there's any more that you wanted me to add, Lisa.
You know, that sounds great for now, Claudia. Thanks so much. It's a really good overview. And I think what we'll do is come back around again after we do introductions and let you share a little bit more about what your offices do and some of the resources that students can access. So Casey, do you want to hop in next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Hoekstra, and I'm the program manager for the Learning Center at the U. I am going on just about to complete my first year on July 1st. So I'm still new-ish, adjusting to living in Utah and also working online. It's been interesting. But the Learning Center has 4 main services that we offer. Our largest one is individual tutoring. So any person who is a currently enrolled University of Utah student is able to access our tutoring services. Thanks to a really generous donation, the first 3 tutoring sessions are completely free to students, and then it's $5 an hour after that, which is really affordable compared to private tutoring, which can be anywhere from $25 to $75 an hour. We do also have scholarships available, no questions asked. We just have to know that you're a University of Utah student, and you will receive additional free tutoring beyond those 3 free sessions at the beginning. We also offer supplemental instruction, which is a program that offers a specific tutor tied to a specific class that is historically difficult. And those tutors, or SI leaders, as we call them, hold study sessions twice a week for those courses. So if you happen to be enrolled in one of our classes that we support, which is mostly some chemistry, biology, math courses, STEM courses like that, then you'll have access to those study sessions as well, which is really great. It's nice to have that peer collaboration so that you can have people to go to and you can get your questions answered and also develop really great transferable skills. When there is not a pandemic in the world, we do have a free drop-in center that is available in the Marriott Library. Right now, we're trying to figure out what that's going to look like for the fall. We're expecting it to just be online, but we will still have some sort of drop-in center available for you all. So you can come in, no appointment needed, just stop by and ask tutors a question. It can be a real quick question, like, I'm not understanding this concept, or, you know what, I'm really struggling in this class overall, so can I get some help on all of this? And then the last main service that we offer is learning consultations. So I meet with students one-on-one and kind of just talk through wherever it is that you're at and where you want to be academically, whether that is trying to figure out time management, your study strategies, test-taking strategies, test anxiety, just anything that you feel like would make you a better student academically. We can talk through different resources and different strategies on how to improve yourself and make sure that you're succeeding in your college career.
Super, thanks, Casey. So it's such a great center. So glad that you're here to be able to share so much about it. Now, Emily, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so since I don't necessarily represent one office specifically, I'll kind of give you all a little bit of background on what I've been up to at the U for the past 3 years. And I'll touch on different organizations and offices. And so if there are questions later on, I can kind of touch on any of those. So as Lisa mentioned, I am a current student. I'll be a senior this fall. I am pursuing an honors degree in finance with a minor in economics. And so outside of the classroom, as Lisa mentioned, I am a presidential intern working alongside President Watkins and the university's senior leadership. This is an opportunity that really allows for personal and professional growth and focuses on leadership within higher education. So in this role, I'm really able to better understand the work of the administration at the university and their efforts towards improving student experiences here at the U. So also I'm very involved within the David Eccles School of Business. I was a member of the Business Scholars Program as well as an ambassador for the program. And then I also work in the advising office at the business school. So super involved with the registration process and kind of helping students figure out majors and minors that they want to pursue. And then throughout my time at the U, I've also worked in the Office of Orientation and Transition as a swoop camp captain, which was really fun, and spent some time working for housing and residential education up in the dorms. And then I also am involved with the Honors College and the opportunities that they offer, and I'm a part of the Greek community. So fraternity and sorority life, I can kind of speak to some of that if you have questions. But those are kind of the main things that I'm involved in. So happy to answer any questions during the Q&A. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Emily. That's great. We're so lucky to have you here today. Okay, so we're going to go back through and just let these campus partners, now you've had a rough introduction about who kind of does what. You may have some questions already, and if you do, feel free to pop them in the chat box, but we'll let them tell you a little more in depth about what they do. But we'd like this to be as interactive as possible, so feel free to send a chat, you know, during their presentation, or as you're learning more and things pop up, if you want more information about the office, kind of understand what they do a little bit more, or how to access them, feel free to send a chat while we're working. So Claudia, do you want to go ahead with that?
Yeah, sure. Is this where I kind of show a little bit about our website and accessing? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Okay, so this is our website for the Counseling Center. So as you can see, we have our some resources just kind of highlighted at the top that are in accordance with the pandemic. So we have some coping with uncertainty, we have our crisis services information, and then our clinical services that we offer during this. So enrolled students can start clinical services with us. All you have to do is just call this number to make your first initial intake appointment. We, in pandemic times, we would offer same day intakes, which means that you can call first thing in the morning to get a initial intake done. But right now we can't offer those just because of the paperwork and technology associated with it. But you can call and get an advanced intake done right now. If you look, so at this top tab right here, our services, we have information about all of our services here, so including individual counseling, we have group therapy, and so it's got a list of our current groups. It's got a little instructional video like what group therapy is or isn't, and some checklists about this and some common myths and just more information. One of the other things that's really cool about the website is our Mindfulness Center. Like I said, we have different workshops and they're offered at different times. Right now, everything's online, but as you can see, we have so many different series of this workshop going. It's free of cost. And so all you have to do is hit this registration to get set up. So we have this part of it. Let me go back to the Counseling Center really quick. Let's see, what other things do we have? We have some self-help resources, which sometimes is really helpful as far as even like an online screening. So sometimes a lot of students are like, I don't know, like if I need help, I don't know if I'm, if it's time to go see someone. And so we have some online screenings that are available for students to do. And it'll kind of ask, and there's different types of screenings. So starting with a bunch of different things of like, what's your primary concern, right? If you're worried about drinking habits, if you're worried about gaining weight, eating concerns, feeling sad, feeling nervous, all of those things, and you can do that online. And it'll give you a recommendation at the end of the screening saying, like, I think, you could use some extra support, or, I would encourage you to make an appointment with the Counseling Center, and it'll have our number listed on there of how to do that. Let me head back into it. We also have our outreach program, which is part of what I help coordinate for the center. So if you are a part of student orgs in the future, we've had student organizations request the Counseling Center to come out and talk about our services and get to know folks. So that's also a possibility. And I think that, without overwhelming y'all, I don't know if there's questions in the chat box. I don't know if there's other questions that people might have. One of our main partners is Center for Student Wellness, that also has a lot of different programming around safe dating. They have the victim survivor advocates that have helped folks in need. And they do a lot of cool programming around wellness, and oftentimes we're partnering with them for this. Is there any questions at this time?
I've got just two thoughts, Claudia, that I was thinking were such great things you have. One was like the coping with stress piece, and the other one was maybe the fees and the costs that students might be interested.
So our fees, individual counseling or medication management services are $12 per session. Our group counseling is $5 per session, and then couples counseling is $30 per session, with the idea being like $15 per person for the couple. We do offer fee reduction. We don't ever want finances to be a reason that people aren't coming to see us, especially when they're in need. So we do have fee reductions available, and that is oftentimes talked about in the initial intake appointment of like, one of like my lines that I use when I'm doing an intake is I'll say, okay, individual counseling is about $12 per session. How's that number sounding to you? And we do offer fee reductions if that's something that you're needing. So I always want to stress that. And when I say fee reduction, we allow students, we work on a sliding scale from $1 to up to the $12, and we allow students to name their price of what's affordable for them. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, great. And I think that's such a great service that you offer there. I was wondering too, just about some of the stress services that you have.
Yes, let's see. As far as stress services, a lot of times we get requests from different campus departments around like stress management workshops. We also offer some of our own kind of like programming as we kind of go along. So when the pandemic kind of first hit, we had a lot of folks like in distress and kind of worried and didn't really know what to do. So we started offering workshops online through Zoom called Coping with Chaos. And we had a really great turnout. And then I think as people kind of adjusted to this kind of new normal, those numbers declined. So we're not offering that right now. But I can definitely see that happening in the future, again, of like, as we kind of go through these new transitions come the fall, of offering that. As far as, let me go to our main page, coping with uncertainty. So we have on our website, tips on coping with emotional distress, and then just COVID resources. There's different resources on our website. So we have financial resources. That's a huge source of stress and especially for students during this time. We have our educational resources, food resources, fitness resources, things that you can do, right? Because we know like it's stress, we need other things, and wellness, and additional resources. So 211, if you don't know what 211 is, it's a resource hotline basically, and you can call from your phone and just ask pretty much about any type of resource in the community, whether it's housing, whether it's food, whether it's financial help, to kind of figure out what might be what can help you and what's available to you. So I don't know if that answers your question around stress. And then that, of course, that's one of the main reasons that folks come to us and seek services, whether that's through group therapy or through individual counseling. Stress is something that we're talking about and how teaching folks how to manage that. And so we do that a variety of different ways.
Super. That's great. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you can ask questions in the chat box as we move along. And I think we'll move now to Casey and talk a little bit more about the Learning Center.
Awesome. Okay, so the Learning Center's website is just learningcenter.utah.edu. We are updating our website as of tomorrow at noon. The new website will go live. So some of the stuff that I'm going to show you is not quite out there yet. So you are getting a little sneak peek. But this is what it looks like right now. Again, we have our COVID changes up here, but the most important things I want you to know is all of our services are listed right here on the main page. So like I said, individual tutoring, you'll be able to request tutoring through us, which is the thing that's going live tomorrow. So it's really slick. Before, you used to have to request tutoring and we would send you the tutor's contact information, and then you had to reach out to the tutor, and then you two had to decide when and where you wanted to meet. But now all of that is available online. So this will be this very first link right here is going to say schedule an appointment, and it'll bring you to this website here. You'll be able to choose the week range. This isn't actually the date. It's very deceiving in my eyes, but you'll choose the week and then what course it is that you're seeking assistance for. We have them all listed here. And then you'll choose telephone or video meeting. Once we are cleared to meet in person again, that will also be an option, but for now, these are what we have. You'll select your date, and then all of the time slots that you can have a tutoring appointment for that specific course will show up. You'll click whatever it is, and then we just have a few questions that we need you to answer before we can actually schedule your appointment. You'll get an email that has the link to the video meeting there. It'll also add it to a calendar if your email address is linked to a calendar system as well. So it's pretty slick and really easy compared to what it used to be. Also, you are able to attach a file. So if you have a specific assignment that you're struggling with, or you have a paper that you want reviewed, or if you just want to upload your syllabus, so your tutor has like your prompt or whatever, that option is there as well. So super nice and simple, especially compared to what it used to be, trust me. Information for drop-in tutoring and supplemental instruction are here, as well as the learning consultations. You can schedule a learning consultation. It looks the same as the tutoring appointment scheduler as well. Just a couple other things I wanted to show you. So about the Learning Center, I just want to point out our tutors are certified through a national board. It's called the College Reading and Learning Association. So you're not just meeting with random students who maybe are decent at a class. These students have gone through a training module and continue to go through every semester additional training to make sure that they are tutoring in a way that helps foster learning and helps you learn on your own rather than just giving you the answers to whatever you're trying to learn. So it is a nice, it's just nice to know that your tutors are certified and they know what they're talking about, more so than just random people who think that they're good at classes. Also, I want to point out, we do have some learning resources on our website. So if you are interested and you're not quite ready to meet with me for a learning consultation, or you want to try it out on your own first, we do have a bunch of awesome resources here that you can check out just to see, if you're able to interpret the resources yourself and apply the different strategies to your life, then all of those are available there. And also, we recognize that we're not the only tutoring source on campus, and we may not be the best option for every person. We might not have tutors available for your course, or maybe we don't have tutors available at the right time. So we do have all these other tutoring resources here available so that you can check them out. So let's say you can't find a writing tutor with us and you want someone else, right here's the website for the Writing Center, and you can get connected with them. If you are a part of different groups, they do support students and sponsor them to get free tutoring, so you can check out that. They also have, some of them have their own tutoring services as well. So just know, we recognize we're not the only center that does tutoring, and we want to make sure that you get help no matter if that's through us or through someone else. And then finally, if you're a rock star at a class, if you've gotten an A or B in your class and you want to tutor, we do have opportunity to hire students as well. So you can apply to be a tutor or an SI leader. You can always reach out for more information as well. So we do have that option too. Are there any questions about the Learning Center?
Casey, one came through just about what the cost was again on the tutoring.
Yes. So your first 3 tutoring sessions are free, and then after that, they're $5 an hour. So again, I talked about earlier, you can either purchase your tutoring hours, which is available right here, or you can apply for the scholarship. Like I said, it's no questions asked, but we have to ask your name and your unit and stuff. So technically we are asking some questions, but you'll just put in your first and last name, your unit, email address, and then you just have to verify that you have used your first 3 free sessions, because we don't want to keep giving out more and more free sessions if you haven't used the initial 3 that you get. So you just have to check that. And then we respond with some codes that you'll put in when you're scheduling that appointment through the scheduler system. It just asks for a code, and we'll give you all those codes so you know what's going on.
Great. Can you maybe talk a little bit about which classes you offer tutoring for, or even just the subjects, I guess?
Yes, of course. Let me. Again, this is not totally live, so let me just show you what will be live and available for everyone tomorrow.
Cool.
So we will have right here, again, I said schedule appointment will be available in the top left. It will also be available down here. It'll say schedule appointment. If you are not sure how to schedule the appointment, there is a tutorial just to walk you through everything if you're confused. And then also right here is our list of courses supported by the Learning Center, which we will keep updated whenever anything changes. So just know that. So you can either do Control F and type in your course code or your course name or whatever, or it is all in alphabetical order. So you can scroll down. I would say a majority of what we help with is going to be biology, chemistry, math. We have a ton of math courses that we support. As you'll see here, they go on for quite a while. And then physics, quite a bit of Spanish, writing assistance, stuff like that. If there is a course that you're seeking assistance for and you don't see that we have a tutor for it, sometimes the tutors are still able to help with courses. They just choose not to put them on their list because they're not their favorite courses, but they are able to help with them. So if you just connect with us, you can say, hey, I really would like, Spanish 2020. I don't see it on the list, even though I'm pretty sure it's on the list. But you could just say, here's this class. Is there possibly anyone who could help? And we can, if it's kind of a stretch, we can say like, oh yeah, this person is able to help with this type of course. So you could reach out and see if it's doable. But sometimes we for sure have someone who can help with that. It's just that they didn't put on their list, but I'm totally fine forcing someone to tutor for those courses that they're capable of tutoring for. So.
Super, thank you. Any other questions? Just feel free to add them to the chat as we roll along. And maybe we can move on to Emily now, and you can share a little bit with us more about what you do.
Yeah, definitely. Let's share this screen. Okay, can you see? Let's see. I think make that.
Yeah, we can see that.
Great. So this is the president's website. It's just president.utah.edu. And so it really just has a lot of information about the president's office and the leadership at the U. So you can kind of just take a look. It gives a lot of recent events and news based around the university. So you can take a look and see what's going on with that. And then there's also a resource to get to know the president, which I included up here. And so it's kind of interesting to get to know the leadership at the university. Some people might not know much about our president or much about our leadership, but I really enjoy getting to know who's running our school. So you can do that here. It gives you a little bit more information about President Watkins. And then she also has a podcast, which I think is really interesting to listen to and hear about the different resources she has to offer. And so you can kind of take a look. They're all usually based around what's going on in the world. So I find that to be super helpful. And then just as a little bit more insight into the presidential internship, there's kind of 3 categories that we work in. And those include the president's office specifically. So you can see us working in the Park building at the front desk. That's one of the main admin buildings on campus in President's Circle, and also where the president's office is. And there's also student affairs. So working with our VP of student affairs. And then institutional advancement and just improving the university. So those are kind of the areas that we work in, and this is an opportunity open to any student. You can start applying as of your freshman year spring semesters when the applications come out. And so students of any academic year are welcome to apply. And so that's kind of a little bit of background on that. Is there anything else I could add, Lisa?
I think that's great, Emily. Yeah, that gives us a clear understanding of that for sure. So, maybe we'll move on to a couple of questions that came in as you signed up for registration. We got a few questions, and one of the things maybe all of us can answer is, what's the one thing you wish you'd done your freshman year? And I can start this by saying that I wish I'd gotten more involved in clubs and on campus generally my freshman year. I was a little bit shy and didn't actually reach out and start doing that. And I wish I had. I think I would have had a different experience and probably felt a lot more connected at the U if I had reached out to some of the community clubs and different things like that to get to know my fellow students a little bit more. So yeah, let's jump in. Anybody who's ready to share.
I was also a first generation student, so I was not aware of many of the resources that were available to me. Also, just navigating college was really weird and awkward because I didn't have that support from back home, like some other students did. So I really wish that I would have taken advantage of, reaching out to someone and asking them what resources were available. My university did not have student success advocates, but if they did, I guarantee you I would have been clinging to them for the first, semester or so to make sure that I was aware of everything that was going on. I did luckily happen to join a student organization totally by accident. They put flyers in our mailboxes that said, come to our social. And I was like, free food, heck yeah. And then when we were there, they were like, so what committee are you joining? And I was like, oh, awkward. So I accidentally joined a student org, but I would say like that was a really great thing for me. And then because of that, I got connected to someone who could show me the resources and show me the ropes and help me figure out college. So I definitely want to echo what Lisa says. Getting involved is really important. My graduate degree is in student affairs, and we talk a lot about Aston's involvement theory, about how the more involved you are in college, the more successful you'll be. So I just cannot say that enough. It's great to get involved in whatever that looks like for you. Find your passion area, be who you want to be, and join organizations and find people who are like you.
Yeah, I think those are some great points. And one that Casey mentioned, I think was a great and relatable point, was free food at events. And I highly recommend any event is most likely going to have free food. And so if you join with some of your roommates or friends that you've met in the first few weeks, like go to those events. A, it's free food, and B, you might learn something, you might meet some more people. And so that's a really great opportunity. There's events across campus, different organizations, different colleges, different offices will all have those different events. So I think that's a great place to start. And then another thing that I wish I knew freshman year was really just that I can explore campus. I had a lot of classes within the same, within the business building and just in that section of campus. And the campus is huge, and there are so many great different buildings, different coffee shops, different areas to explore. And I think that it's a really cool resource just to get to know those different buildings and kind of change up your study environments. And it's also a great way to get to know different people that might not be in your classes or that you might not have met otherwise. So just kind of taking advantage of how big the campus is and how many different buildings and different office spaces and study spaces we have is a really cool thing to take advantage of.
Yeah, I kind of echo what's been said about getting involved. I joined a student org when I was in undergrad, and it really kind of opened up my world of getting to know other students that were in different majors and across campus. And then I also had work studies, so that was another way of like. So I worked at the preschool that was on campus. I went to UNLV for my undergrad. And so, getting to know other folks that were kind of interested. I obviously was a social work major, and so that was really helpful in like getting to know other folks that were in similar fields and similar areas as well. So I think what I wish I would have done, I don't even know if I knew that UNLV had a counseling center, and I probably could have used some extra support as far as like handling stress and all kinds of different things. I was out of state and, in a new environment and navigating new friendships and relationships. And so I think that looking back, and then maybe I'm saying that because I'm a counselor now, but I probably could have used some extra support back then.
That's great. Thanks, everyone. Hey, there's one more question that's maybe directed to Claudia that came in, which is, where would I go to deal with stress?
Yeah, there's a few places that you can go. So definitely the Counseling Center is a great place to go. We offer counseling. The Women's Resource Center also offers individual counseling, and they are located in the Student Union. We're located in the Student Services Building. Right now, both are being offered online. We also have the Center for Student Wellness, which, like I said, offers some different workshops in wellness and stress management. And so great place to kind of go and seek some support and some group services, and the Mindfulness Center. So maybe counseling isn't your jam, or you're not ready to kind of engage. I know I think the stigma is changing around like getting services and getting help. But I think that that's still there. A lot of students are hesitant about engaging in individual counseling or group therapy. And so if you're not really quite ready for that step, the mindfulness workshops is not therapy. It's a workshop and skills based of like, how do I use mindfulness skills to manage these different types of things that might be going on in my life without kind of going into what's going into your life. It's just kind of like, here's some things that you can use and try, and we can kind of practice together. So some great resources. And in non-pandemic times when we're in person, we also have a couple of massage chairs right outside of our office in the student services building that you can come and sit in. You can and relax and just kind of hang out for a minute and decompress between classes. So I know a lot of students like to come and put their headphones on and kind of shut down for a little bit and then head back to the class.
That's right. Those massage chairs are pretty cool.
And they don't get used enough, I don't think. Every time I walk past, they're always open, so take advantage of them.
We want people to use them more so that we can justify getting some more.
That's great. This might be a question that came in. It might be best answered by the orientation and transfer office. They were wondering about signing up for classes as a first-year student. Do you want to field that one?
Yes. Hi there. My name is Sydney. I'm an assistant director with the Office of Orientation and Transition. And as far as class registration, that is built into your virtual orientation experience. And so again, orientation has a lot of moving pieces. You'll be introduced to Schedule Builder and how you're going to go about registering for classes in the online Canvas course. That is step one of your virtual orientation. And then when you meet with your academic advisor or your academic college, they will be the ones to further clarify that process and help walk you through that.
Great, thank you, Sydney. And I think that applies to, there was a question that came in about planning for students who are not able to go on campus. If you work with your academic advisor, they can help you set up a calendar, or a schedule that has online classes on it rather than on-campus ones. So if you reach out to them, and again, you've got to finish your orientation modules to get there, but if you reach out to them, they can help you build a schedule like that. The one other question that came through online before we started was, will all freshman classes be in person? We don't know that yet. So it seems like it might be a mixed bag, but we can't really answer that question yet. That'll depend on what the president decides, and that'll be out by the time you can register, which is going to be July 6th, when you'll actually be able to register for your classes. So that information should be available on the schedule at that point, and you'll know whether it's an online class or an in-person class at that point in time. So maybe we can swing back through. I think, Emily, you had a couple of thoughts about some of the things that have made your college experience really great, and some suggestions to offer to students coming in. Maybe we can swing back through and talk about those.
Yeah, definitely. So as everyone kind of touched on so far, getting involved is a great way to enhance your college experience. But I also did want to touch on some resources that I don't think have been mentioned yet that could be really helpful throughout your college career. And so one of them being the Career and Professional Development Center. And so that's a great way to get help with resumes, cover letters, finding jobs and internships. And that's been huge in my college experience, finding either jobs on campus or off campus. Depending on what your major is, they can tailor that to you. And so that's been really helpful, and something that I think sometimes, at least for myself, speaking for myself, I was like, I have a great resume already, and then you take it in and you realize that you didn't know what a resume was. And so that was really helpful for me, just to make sure that I was presenting myself in the best way when I was applying to different jobs and internships. Figuring out what a cover letter was, things like that. So that's a really great resource. And what else? I have the Writing Center is a great resource to help with papers. Casey mentioned that earlier, so that's a great resource. And then we've touched on this, but academic advisors, even when the question came up about how to deal with stress, a lot of my stress comes around what classes am I going to take when I was, in my freshman, sophomore year, what am I going to major in? And so academic advisors were a great resource to kind of help calm those stresses and remind me that everyone is going through this. You will figure out what you want to do and what you want to major in, and to not stress too much about it. I've talked to some friends that said that the Academic Advising Center, I think if you're undeclared, or I'm not sure what the criteria is, but you can take like a personality test that could match you with potential compatible majors if you aren't quite sure what you want to major in. So that's a pretty cool resource. And then another one that I've used and think is super helpful on campus is the Financial Wellness Center. It used to be called the Personal Money Management Center, and that's been super helpful. I had questions about student loans, and they were able to kind of guide me in that. And then they also offer help with doing your taxes, saving and budgeting. And it's all confidential, like financial wellness coaching. So that's a really great resource that I've utilized and was super helpful. And then lastly, this is more of a resource and not an office, but utilizing the campus map. They have an app for your phone. You can get it online. Finding different offices. Sometimes professors' offices are in really weird places that you're not familiar with. And so the campus map is super helpful. Also for finding parking on campus, figuring out which parking lot is closest to the building that you're looking for. That's super helpful. Where to find lunch or coffee. Those are all listed throughout the campus map. And so those are a few things that I had kind of taken note of throughout my past few years that have been really helpful. If there's any questions about anything that I mentioned, I'd be happy to answer those, but those are a few things I wanted to touch on.
Thanks, Emily. Those are great. Would you mind listing those in the chat for people so they can follow up and check those again, when we're done? Because this will be available for you to rewatch, and you can check the chat out after we're done. That'd be great. Thanks. And maybe while we're just waiting for more questions to come in, please feel free to ask. I don't know, those of you with orientation and transition, maybe you can list some of the one thing you wish you'd done your freshman year. That might be real interesting to hear from you as well.
I can definitely tap in on this. Hi, everyone. My name is Madeline Bird. I'm another assistant director in the orientation office. One thing I wish I had done my freshman year is paced myself. I think is something that's really important, whether that's with involvement opportunities or classes. I had a habit of taking on a lot. And then getting to the point where I was like, I can't do any of this anymore. So yes, there are a lot of great opportunities. There are a lot of great classes you can take and a lot of great people to meet through all of this. But remember, you're here for 4 years, so you don't have to do it all at once. That's definitely something that I would say to little freshman Madeline, who is just super eager to get into everything.
I'll jump in. And I think another piece of advice, I think everything that has been shared is so important. And again, right, we're all different and we come with different, I don't know, I think what we want out of college is very different. So it's important to really self-reflect and think about what do you want to get out of your University of Utah experience, and just push yourself outside of your comfort zone, I think is what mine comes down to. Is again, right, like Madeline says, there's a lot to do and a lot to get involved in. So definitely pace yourself, but also push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Virtual orientation is a little bit different. I know through assessment, we've definitely been getting a lot of great feedback, but there has been some students saying, like, I don't know where my community is. It's been hard because there's not really a space in this virtual experience to really meet with other incoming first-year students. And so it is going to be a really interesting time to transition to the U in person during fall, especially if you're still navigating the online space and doing all online classes or a version of the hybrid options. So definitely, right, push yourself outside of your comfort zones, reach out to other students, because just know that you're not the only one feeling kind of not left out per se, but kind of feeling like you want to meet some other friends or some other new students. So definitely take advantage of all of the opportunities during weeks of welcome, or even in your classes if they're smaller. Again, like navigate some conversations, reach out, form some study sessions, and just, yeah, push yourself outside of your comfort zone.
I also want to mention real quick that a lot of the skills that you're going to use for online courses are similar to skills that you'd use in your in-person courses as well. So I know a lot of times it can be really daunting of like, well, I've always done in-person classes and now I have to do online classes and I don't know how to succeed in those. But if you're still using proper time management and you're still, you know, studying effectively and setting goals for yourself, I think a lot of it is going to be more similar than what you think that it would be or what you might expect. So it is difficult, you know, even, I mean, I don't know how student orgs are doing everything, but, you know, things that you're going to gain in those particular situations, you're probably still going to get similar skills and experiences in some way, shape, or form. So know that, like, we recognize it is a really difficult and interesting situation, but hopefully your skills that you're using for every aspect of your life are going to be transferable, whether they're online or in person. Okay, I just saw a question. The best ratio for class time to personal study time. They say, which I don't know how much I agree with this, but they say that for every 3 credit hours that you have, you should be doing 9 hours of studying. So if you have a class that meets, you know, for 1 hour 3 times a week, you should be studying for that class 9 hours, which I think is a little ridiculous. Sometimes you don't have, you know, 9 hours worth of stuff to do for a course. It might be a super easy week, it might be a hard week, and you might have to do more than 9 hours. So I think the best way that I would answer that question without actually answering it directly is making sure that when you get your syllabus at the beginning of the semester, go through, and whether it's on a calendar, on a planner, you know, online calendar, whatever that looks like for you, but go through and put all of the due dates, all of your test dates, any important date that you have in your syllabus, put it in your calendar. Because then you can see an overview of saying, this week in October is super hectic busy, and I know that I need to start planning like 2 weeks ahead, right? I know if I want this paper done on Friday, when do I have to start it? So go backwards from then. You know, I want my final draft done by Thursday. I want a rough draft done by Tuesday, so I have time to take it to the writing center on Wednesday, which means I need to get my sources by Thursday the week before. You know, kind of planning backwards like that, so you can say, in order to have this done by the time that I want it to, this is when I need to start it, instead of saying, I'm going to start it the night before and hope for the best, right? I think it's also important to recognize that our brains, as amazing as they are, can really only focus on a topic for about 30 to 45 minutes at a time before it needs a break and before it needs to focus on something else. So when planning out your studying time, if you say, I'm going to study for 3 hours, first, it's really important to set a goal, right? What does studying look like for you? I'm going to get this paper started. I'm going to find my resources. I'm going to make flashcards for this class, whatever, right? And then also acknowledging, I'm going to work on it for 50 minutes, and then I'm going to take a 10-minute break. And then I'm going to work for 50 minutes, and then I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Because I know if I sit down and try to do it for 3 hours, the end product after, you know, an hour and a half is not going to be as great as if I had given myself a small break. So, you know, rewarding yourself for the time that you have done, being cognizant of how much time you spend on your break and what you're doing on your break, and then rewarding yourself at the end.
Lisa, I can see you talking, but you're muted.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. So I just said, thanks, Casey. That's great advice. We appreciate it. And then Claudia, I was just going to ask you, is there anything else about your office that has popped up that you'd like us to know?
I think we're definitely hearing that concern around, like, how do I meet people when I just lost my headphones. when I'm not in person. And so I think we're going to be, I don't know if that's a way of like offering more support groups come the fall. That's definitely a concern that we're hearing and wanting to address. So right now we have just kind of like a quick overview. We have group therapy, right? Which is a group that is meant for that exactly. A group to come and process emotions and feelings and those important things that you would do just like you would in an individual therapy session. And we also offer support groups, which are a little bit different because just like you wouldn't come to their individual counseling to make friends with your therapist, it's the same kind of deal with a therapy group, right? We discourage that the purpose of that group meeting is for therapeutic purposes versus a support group, which is usually folks that are looking for community. And so right now our support groups are a little bit limited, but I think that that's definitely something that we're looking to address come the fall of like, do we need to increase some more support groups for folks to come and find community?
Well, that's cool. So check your website out, maybe come fall and see what might be available in a support group or a therapy group, depending on what you're looking for. Great. Okay, we'll wait just a minute and see if any other questions come up.
This is like what I tell my students too, like this is your space, right? This is college 101. If there's other questions that you'll have about the experience or hesitations or just things that you're wondering about, like this is your time too.
Yep, this is your time. Oh, there's a good one for Casey.
Okay, so the Learning Center office itself, which is just myself and our administrative assistant, we are open from 9 to 4, excuse me, because it's just 2 of us. We're open from 9 to 4. But our tutors set their own availability based on whatever works best for them. We don't make them do specific time slots. So you, depending on when a tutor is available, you could get tutoring at 7 o'clock in the morning if that's when you and your tutor can meet. You could get it at 9 or 10 p.m. at night. It really just depends on the tutor's availability and when they decide to set that they are able to tutor. So we do weekends, we do nights, we do over the lunchtime, whatever. If you are looking for a specific time slot and you don't see it there, you can always reach out to the tutor or you can reach out to our office and just say, hey, I'd really love to meet with this tutor, but I'm not seeing a time that works. Is there any way we can meet at a different time? So it's super duper flexible. All of our tutors are students. You have to be a student in order to tutor because we want to make sure that they're fresh in all of the information. It's not some super outdated information that they took biology 20 years ago or whatever. So yeah, we are flexible with their schedule and they're pretty flexible with your schedule as well.
Super.
I can touch briefly on that question that just came in about textbooks. I think that textbooks, I think they're a little bit different for every class and every department in college. Some classes you might need the textbook every day to study and use. Some you might be annotating and you might want your own copy. But other textbooks you're going to use less often, so you might be able to buy a used copy. So I would say that the 2 main ways that I've received textbooks or bought textbooks is either through students who have taken the class in the past and they have an old book that they're willing to sell or let me borrow. You can find those resources. Sometimes there's like Facebook pages where students are selling textbooks, and usually they're selling them for a lot cheaper just because they want to get rid of them. And then the second way is through Amazon rentals. I know that I'll use the book specifically for that semester and I won't need it going forward, so I'll do the rental, and that's usually much cheaper than buying a book outright. They usually offer new and used versions, and so usually I'm good with a used version just to pay the cheapest price, and that's usually the most affordable option. And then you also aren't left with a textbook after you know, the semester ends and then trying to figure out what to do with it. So those are the two main ways. Of course, you can always check out the campus store, and they usually have both used and new options, and you can either rent or outright buy them. So.
When I was in undergrad and grad school both, I used chegg.com, which I just posted in the chat. It's CHEGG. My campus bookstore had a book that was $180, and I checked Chegg, and they were selling it brand new for $30. So there was some pretty really like awesome deals on there. You can buy or you can rent from them. What's also really cool, at the end of the semester, if you did purchase your book, you can sell it to Chegg, and they usually give you a decent amount of money for them as well. So definitely check out as many resources as possible to see where you can get the cheapest one. I did Amazon rentals as well for some of my books. Sometimes the bookstore does have the best option, and it's pretty cheap, and it's just convenient because it's right there. I also want to plug, the library has amazing resources. They either have a version of your textbook, it might be, you know, a previous edition or the current edition that you could check out, or at least use it while you're at the library. But they also do have a buyer's program through the library that if you request a book, if you request they purchase a book for the library to have, 9 times out of 10, they'll buy the book. So you'll be able to like check out the book after they've purchased it and have it available at the library for you. So, you know, definitely check around and look to see where the best option is. And if the library can buy it for you, then that's even better.
Yeah, that's a good point. They also do have scanners at the library. So if you find a book that they have at the library and you know you only need a specific chapter or specific pages, you can scan them and have a digital copy of them. And if you need to, you can print them or something, but they have scanners. And then like Casey said, since they have the books at the library, like one class that I took, I only needed it for the homework problem. So I would just use the book at the library to do my homework, and I didn't need to buy the book. So.
Looks like there's a question about the MUS. Does anybody, I don't know the answer to that question. Does anybody have any insight there? Sorry, we don't know what's happening with the MUS since if there aren't any football games, and we don't know that yet either. I'd keep an eye on the website and see what they end up posting, but that's something we don't know yet.
You could also look through look through the contact information on MUS and see if there's someone there that you could just, you know, send an email to. It doesn't hurt. If anything, they'll just say no or that they don't know. So feel free to reach out to them.
Yes, and another question came in related to the MUS, which is Parent Weekend. So Parent Family Weekend is hosted through the Office of Orientation and Transition. Right now, it's tentatively scheduled to happen October 16th through 18th. But again, this does depend on what our good friends over at Athletics choose to decide what to do with football. We're hoping to hear from them in July to give you a little bit more context, and hopefully there would be more information on the MUS at that point as well. Right now, we're a little bit in the dark, so just keep an eye kind of on our websites and socials, and hopefully we can update you as soon as possible.
So we're down to just like the last minute here. Any last minute burning questions that we might have? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and we'll wrap this up. Thanks to Claudia and Emily and Casey so much for being here, and thanks for orientation, for all of your support and answering questions there too. That's been great. And thanks to all of you for participating today. Feel free to reach out to all of us, and our I think our contact information is listed up here, but feel free to reach out to us afterwards too if you've got any questions or anything else comes up. Okay, and have a great day.